Hey everybody, that's right, you're listening to Chicken Parm Dave's MMA Chowdown. And what am I chowing down on today? Perhaps the biggest fight card in UFC history, UFC 205. That's right, taking place tomorrow, Saturday, November 12th, UFC 205, New York City, MSG. Everything is finally lined up, and we cannot wait for this fight card to happen. And what do I do here on Chicken Parm Dave's MMA Chowdown? Well, I give you my thoughts and I give you my predictions on what I think will happen during this great, amazing fight card. So without further ado, let's get it started. On the UFC Fight Pass early prelims, we got Liz Carmouche versus Caitlin Kukagin. I know I butchered that name, and I apologize for that. In this fight, the first women's fight of the night, there's actually three women's fights. So that's UFC is really taking a liking to the women fighters, which I'm happy for. In this one, I actually took Caitlin Kukagin to win by unanimous decision. And hopefully that happens for me because they also took her in DraftKings as well. Next up, I guess the main event for the UFC Fight Pass early prelims, we got Jim Miller versus Thiago Pitbull Alves. Now, when I'm recording this, they already did the weigh-ins, and Alves came in a couple pounds overweight, so he's going to be fine. But the fight will actually still take place, which is a good thing. I'll talk about something coming up a little more later about a fight not taking place, which really sucks for us UFC and MMA fight fans. But actually, in this one, I actually took Thiago Alves by third round TKO, and I also think that this will probably be the fight of the night because anytime Jim Miller fights, you know it's a great fight, and we're all in for a good treat. Yeah, so I took Thiago Alves third round TKO. Next up in the Fox Sports 1 prelims, we got Vincent Lacu versus Bial Muhammad. Remember the name Muhammad. I like this kid, and that's who I actually went with to win. I think he's going to win by unanimous decision, Muhammad. So I actually really enjoy watching him fight, and I hope I am right with that one. Next up, we got Rafael Natal versus Tim Boetsch. I'm a big Boetsch fan, so you know what I did? I went with Tim Boetsch. Round 2, TKO, and I would like to see Tim Boetsch win because I've enjoyed watching his fights. He's a great fighter. Ever since he came back when he was losing to Yushin Okami, and then he just delivered those uppercuts to knock him out, I've been a fan ever since. So I'm going Tim Boetsch. Okay, next up, Khabib Nurmagomedov versus Michael Johnson. Now, I know everyone's thinks that Khabib is next in line for the title shot. I already thought he should have had the title shot. This should have been him fighting. But for some reason, maybe they don't think there's any money in Khabib fighting for the title. So I took Khabib by round 2 submission against Michael Johnson, Michael the Menace Johnson. Next up, Frankie the Answer Edgar versus Little Heathens, Jeremy Stevens. This is going to be a hell of a fight. I know that for a fact. I took Frankie Edgar by unanimous decision. A unanimous decision. Let me speak a little clearly here on Chicken Parm Dave's MMA Chowdown. Frankie Edgar coming off that loss for the interim featherweight title in UFC 200, and Jeremy Stevens beating Renan Barão, which is a very big upset in my opinion. Even though I know Barão's on his way, his weight's getting an issue, but still a big win overall to beat Barão. But I took Frankie Edgar unanimous decision. Next up. Sorry for the cough, folks. I can't contain my excitement because we are talking about the main card. First up, women fight. Miesha Cupcake Tate versus Raquel Rocky Pennington. Okay, Miesha Tate, the former champion. Unfortunately, she had a bad day against Amanda Nunes. But I actually still took her to win by unanimous decision. So hopefully that comes true because I like Miesha Tate. I like watching her fight, and she's a pretty looking lady. Next up was supposed to be the fight that I was really looking forward to, surprisingly, was Kelvin Gastelum versus Donald Cowboy Cerrone. Now, as I am recording this, as I said previous, the weigh-ins have already happened, and this fight is not happening. Gastelum just couldn't make the weight, and the New York Athletic Commission, they said no. So Donald Cerrone's just getting his show payment. But this fight is unfortunately not happening. And this was actually the one that I was actually this was my upset pick. I thought that I was going Gastelum round 1 TKO. That's how much faith I had in Gastelum fighting. But unfortunately, we don't get to see either of these great guys fight, and that's a loss for this great card. Well, no more sour grapes on that. We're moving on to Chris Weidman versus Yoel Romero. The former champion fighting a guy that went away from actually maybe fighting for the title, but unfortunately not this night because I took Chris Weidman to win by split decision. And then I think that will make Weidman next in line. Either of these guys, I feel like they're next in line for the title shot no matter who wins. So I'm going Weidman, split decision. Moving on to the first of our 3. That's right, 3 UFC title contests. We got Joanna Jędrzejczyk versus Carolina. Oh, God. Carolina Kowalski. I should learn better. I should do my research, but I don't have time. I took Jędrzejczyk by round 3 TKO, and this is actually my lock pick, where this is the one I'm bringing to the bank. If I was to bet money on one fight, boom, this would be it. So she's my lock pick. Joanna Jędrzejczyk, round 3 TKO. Next up, for the welterweight title, let me go back. The strawweight title is for the women. Welterweight title for the men coming up. We got Tyron Woodley versus Stephen Thompson. Woodley's coming after knocking out Robbie Lawler, Ruthless, which is kind of a surprise. And we got Stephen Thompson, the Wonder Boy, who everyone thinks is going to beat Woodley. And I actually think he is going to beat Woodley. I picked him round 4 TKO because I feel like Woodley's going to be gassed after the 3rd round, and I think that's when Thompson will start picking him apart. And then we'll have a new welterweight champion in UFC, Stephen Wonderboy Thompson. Next up, the fight that everyone's been dying to see, what you're going to pay, $42, $72, $102 for pay-per-view. We got Eddie Alvarez versus Conor McGregor for the lightweight title. This is arguably probably one of the biggest fights in UFC history. It can make UFC history with Conor McGregor if he does win, becoming the first ever holding 2 championships simultaneously at the same time, that means. But unfortunately, this night, I did not pick Conor McGregor. I know everyone's probably up in arms because everyone's over this guy's nut, Conor McGregor. But I actually took Eddie Alvarez to win by split decision. It's going to be highly contested, but I feel like they may give Eddie the nod, and then Conor gets bumped down a peg, which he probably should be. So that is my thoughts. That is my predictions. That is me rambling about UFC 205. And I just want to thank you for listening to Chicken Parm Dave's MMA Chowdown. And what did I chow down on today? Well, the big old helping of UFC 205, the biggest fight card in UFC history. So please, this Saturday, go to your local restaurant that shows the fights. Order it online, order it on your television. So please, you do not want to miss this fight card because then you're not a fan of MMA. So on that note, I just want to say thank you and enjoy the fights.